Hello and welcome to The Print. I'm Varnika Dhawan and today we are going to talk about Trump's big beautiful bill. Last week, right before the July 4 deadline, President Trump signed the massive spending and tax bill, turning it into law. This big bill includes tax cuts of around $4.5 trillion, which is the largest in the US history. However, the new analysis of the Congressional Budget Office, which was released on Sunday, estimates that this bill will add about $3.3 trillion to the national debt and will reduce the federal revenues by $3.8 trillion over the next 10 years. This bill has nearly $1.1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, Obamacare, and food stamps, and it will leave around 11.8 million Americans without health coverage. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has repeatedly said that the bill would slash taxes, reduce social security net programs, and boost military and immigration enforcement spending priorities. He said in the ceremony of the July 4th Independence Day, quote, "You have the biggest tax cuts, the biggest spending cut, the largest border security investment in American history." So, the main agenda of this big beautiful bill was to extend Trump's first term provision of the Tax Cuts and Job Act of 2017 that was scheduled to expire at the end of 2025, but the new bill has made them permanent. Though the act lowers these taxes for everyone and raises the tax-free income threshold, it seems like the benefit will mostly reach only the wealthy who receive the largest cuts, because more than a third of the bill's tax cuts will go to the households with an income of $460,000 or more, according to the Tax Policy Center. And low-income Americans who make up 30% of the US population and whose household earnings are under $50,000 a year, they will be mostly negatively impacted by this bill because of the cost of these tax cuts, which was about at around $4 trillion or more. Similarly, this new bill includes hundreds of provisions. It extends and expands the tax cuts. And to cover these massive tax cuts, there are major reductions in the cost of two significantly important programs. First, Social Security net programs that help millions of Americans to afford health insurance like Medicaid or Obamacare. Second, federal food programs like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAPS, which is also known as food stamps. Before I explain these 2 points, let me break down for you the major tax cuts in this 887-page bill and how it is going to affect the American household budget. The new bill brings several big tax breaks. Central to this bill is the US tax code, which is called as the State and Local Taxes Deduction or SALT deduction. So first, it raises the cap on how much state and local tax you can deduct on your federal return. Earlier, the SALT deduction was capped at $10,000, but the new bill allows a deduction of up to $40,000 for the next 5 years for those making less than $500,000, with the income threshold rising 1% a year. So this change would result in losing approximately $350 billion in revenue, and it will provide substantial new tax cuts to high income taxpayers. Secondly, you will be able to deduct income from your taxable income, which is earned from tips and overtime, until 2028. You can also deduct interest on car loans for US assembled vehicles purchased between now and 2028. Next is the state tax limit, which is also going up to $15 million for individuals and $30 million for couples, which visibly means that wealthier families can pass on assets without paying estate tax. Similarly, the child credit tax will also be boosted to $2,200 from $2,000. According to policy experts, millions of families won't see this benefit as they would not give the full credit. Altogether, the bill includes around $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. If we talk about the tax cuts for lower income households, that is the ones whose household earnings are under $50,000 a year, the calculations by Tax Policy Center gives a clear picture. According to the TPC, with this bill, the top 0.1% of households who make more than $5 million annually will ultimately have the biggest benefit, with their taxes declining by an average of almost $300,000. While low-income older adults might see an average tax cut of only $10, middle-income seniors would experience a tax decline of about $1,100. The poorest 20% of households who earn $35,000 or less per year are projected to receive an average tax cut of less than just 1% or about $160. and potentially only $60 when considering the loss of Obamacare health insurance premium subsidies. And those earning less than $20,000 might even pay $40 more in taxes due to losing their premium tax subsidies. Now let's come to the important programs that will be bleeding under this bill. The bill will affect Medicaid enrollees, Affordable Care Act policyholders, individuals covered by Medicaid, Obamacare or SNAP, and people with student loans, among others. Medicaid is the single largest health insurance program in the US with currently 71 million people dependent on it, which was expanded under Obama's Affordable Care Act. It provides government sponsored healthcare for low income and disabled Americans. The Budget Office analysis shows that the bill would reduce federal support for Medicaid by nearly $700 billion and would remove the coverage for more than 10 million people over the next 10 years. The bill also reduces federal fundings to states that use Medicaid to cover health care for undocumented immigrants, and it also bans the use of federal funds for gender transition services. Further, more changes are made to the Affordable Care Act, that is the Obamacare, under this new bill. Extra Obamacare subsidies, which are the financial help to buy insurance, are set to expire at the end of this year. The bill also restricts the eligibility for subsidized health insurance under Obamacare to thousands of refugees and asylum seekers who arrive in the US each year. Importantly, health coverage will become more expensive for many low and middle income Americans, causing some to drop it altogether. Now, if we talk about food assistance like Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps, it helps lower income families to afford groceries, with currently about 40 million Americans benefiting from the program. The program is currently fully funded by the federal government, but the new bill requires states to contribute more to the program. Further, 4.7 million SNAP participants will lose out over the 2025 to 34 period due to program reduction, according to the Budget Office. Reduction in food stamps will directly impact the local economy, as food stamps funding supports about 388,000 jobs and more than $20 billions in wages, and results in more than $4.5 billion in state and federal tax revenue, according to the National Grocers Association. The new bill is also going to slash clean energy incentives, which according to Trump unfairly use taxpayers' money to promote wind, solar and global climate goals that he opposes. The bill cuts the 30% tax credit for home solar panels by the end of this year. That credit was originally extended into the next decade under President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Trump has criticized these climate-related tax breaks in the past also. He calls them part of a Green New scam. The bill also cuts $330 billion out of student loan spending for the next 10 years. This would end very important student loan repayment options for new borrowers, including the Biden-era SAFE plan and the pay-as-you-earn and income contingent repayment plans. It is interesting to note that where Trump's big bill is cutting off massive spending from various sectors, it is injecting more $150 billion in military spending. These billions of dollars of spendings are to help boost shipbuilding efforts and to build a new space-based missile defense system, which Trump calls the Golden Dome. To enforce Trump's anti-immigration agenda, the bill also injects about $175 billion for bulking up the barriers at the nation's southern border and for additional border patrol agents and facilities. That's all for today. Thanks for watching The Print.